Justice for the Epstein victims and survivors. And I'm going to begin with the closing words of Virginia Roberts Giuffre in her book. It's literally the last paragraph. She writes, "I hope for a world in which predators are punished, not protected. Victims are treated with compassion, not shamed, and powerful people face the same consequences as anyone else. I yearn, too, for a world in which the perpetrators face more shame than their victims do, and where anyone who's been trafficked can confront their abusers when they are ready, no matter how much time has passed. We don't live in this world yet. I mean, seriously, where are those videotapes the FBI confiscated from Epstein's houses? And why haven't they led to prosecution of any more abusers?" That's from Virginia. It was printed, as you know, posthumously after her death. Mr. Blanche, you and I had a chance a couple of weeks ago at the Department of Justice to speak about these cases. We discussed three things in connection with this monstrous, decades-long crime spree. Number one, your failure to fully redact survivor information. Number two, your failure to follow the law and release the remaining files. And number three, your refusal to prosecute anybody else. Mr. Blanche, let's continue that inane conversation, but this time it's public. This time, and more importantly, it's under oath.
Representative Dean is framing this hearing around a simple question: transparency. Her argument is that survivors and the public deserve answers about what remains hidden in the Epstein investigation. That issue has fueled years of public skepticism and demands for greater accountability.
You're speaking to Congress. So let's get into it. When will you comply with the law and release all of the files?
As I said to you when we spoke before, we have complied with the law. We have reviewed.
There are 3 million more documents, and you know what you said to me? They're all duplicative, and they include another guy named Epstein.
No, I didn't
Nobody's
say that.
buying. That's
I did
what you
not
said.
say that.
That's what you said.
So look,
reclaiming my
can
time.
I answer? Can I answer the question?
You may not. I
Okay.
just gave you the answer you gave me.
Telling.
No, actually, it's my time, Mr. Chairman. I think those are the rules of this committee. I told him the answer he gave me, and now in public he's trying to say something else. Please stop the clock. Can I get that time back? May I have 20 seconds back, Mr. Chairman? Thank you. I very much appreciate that. Mr. Blanche.
You don't want me to answer the question.
Mr. Blanche, as you know, I visited DOJ 3 times for as much as 10 hours, and I'll be going back. Does the Epstein File Transparency Act say that the file should be available to members of Congress with a minder at DOJ, where you're in a secure room, you can't write on any of the binders, you can take your own notes? Is that what the Transparency Act says?
It doesn't require we allow you to come to DOJ at all. We did that on our own.
What does it say in terms of transparency?
The dispute is no longer about whether documents exist. It is about whether meaningful transparency has actually been achieved. Congress and the Justice Department appear to be operating under very different interpretations of what full disclosure should look like.
It says that they should be made publicly available.
And they
Am
were.
Am I correct?
And
publicly
they were.
available.
And they were.
Oh, well, let's talk about that.
Okay.
Time of the gentlelady has expired.
I beg your pardon. And I'd actually like to get 20 seconds back. How do I get cut off 2 minutes into this?
2 minutes and 10 seconds left.
Time of the gentlelady has expired.
I beg your pardon, Mr. Chairman. What rules are we operating under? Because he's under a little bit of heat for not prosecuting anyone in these monstrous crimes? I've been in the room. I have been there. This is what I had to do, to transcribe, to show what is true. What is true is that the president has lied about being on Epstein's plane, and the unredacted files prove that. There's a lot in here. I am shocked at this. There's also this set of files in the file. This is investigation into the potential co-conspirators of Jeffrey Epstein. I almost used up all the blank ink in the hallway because it's all covered up. It's all covered up. The American people are not stupid. They know that when members of Congress have to go in and actually unredact to try to find the truth for these victims, something is corrupt. Something is corrosive. You were paid $10 million to represent the president. You hang a 30-foot banner of the president's menacing face over the entrance to the Department of Justice. You said that if you were terminated or not moved forward as Attorney General, you would say to the president, "I love you, sir." So I have one question for you. Is your obligation to the victims and survivors of Epstein's heinous crimes and all his perpetrators, or is your first obligation to the President of the United States?
So without a doubt, we want to bring justice to every victim.
When will you bring that justice?
Can I please finish?
Excuse me.
Can I finish?
It's been decades. When will
Can
you
I
bring,
finish?
When will you bring the justice?
So as I was saying,
When will you prosecute?
Oh,
And who will you prosecute?
can I
Please
speak?
allow the witness to answer.
You told me in our
So I'll
conversation
tell
you
so
blamed the victims.
Every victim
Let the record
of Mr.
reflect,
Epstein.
he told me
of-
that the victims didn't give good names.
Let me be crystal clear that this Department of Justice will always protect victims and will always prosecute anybody we can, okay? Full stop, no ifs, ands, or buts, okay? What you are showing in a game of showmanship are redactions because of victims, because that prosecution memorandum
Perpetrators.
talks about, excuse me?
Perpetrators, too.
How do you know that? Go ahead.
Talk to the
Exactly.
victims.
So
Talk to the victims.
they're victims' names, which we are required to redact, required by law to redact, which we did.
This hearing was officially about the release of the Epstein files. But what unfolded inside the House Appropriations Committee was something much larger, a confrontation over transparency, institutional trust, and whether powerful people are ever truly held accountable in America. Representative Madeleine Dean did not approach this exchange as a routine oversight discussion. She approached it as an argument about unfinished justice. From the opening moments, Dean repeatedly returned to the voices of survivors and to a question that has haunted public debate for years. If Jeffrey Epstein did not operate alone, where is the accountability for everyone else? That question has lingered over the case since Epstein's death. And it remains one of the primary reasons public interest has never disappeared. For many Americans, the Epstein case stopped being just a criminal investigation long ago. It became a symbol of elite privilege, a symbol of institutional failure, and a symbol of the belief that powerful individuals often operate under a different set of rules than everyone else. That is what makes hearings like this politically significant. The debate is no longer simply about files. It is about trust. Dean's central argument was straightforward. If the government possesses additional records, investigative materials, witness information, or evidence connected to one of the largest sex trafficking scandals in modern American history, why does the public still know so little about what happened? Todd Blanche responded from a legal and procedural perspective. His position was that the Department of Justice had complied with its obligations, protected victim information, and followed the legal requirements governing disclosure. That response reflects a familiar institutional pattern. Government agencies often focus on process. Lawmakers often focus on outcomes. And when those perspectives collide, frustration usually follows. What made this hearing notable was not simply the disagreement itself. It was the fact that both sides appeared to be discussing entirely different forms of accountability. Blanche repeatedly emphasized legal compliance. Dean repeatedly emphasized public confidence. Those are related concepts, but they are not the same thing. An institution can argue that it followed every procedural requirement and still face public skepticism. That is especially true when dealing with a case as politically explosive as Epstein. The Epstein investigation occupies a unique place in American public life. Unlike many criminal cases, it has become a bipartisan source of suspicion. Conservatives, liberals, independents, and people with little interest in politics have all asked versions of the same question. Who knew what? Who was involved? And why does it feel like the public still does not have the full story? That perception has only grown stronger over time. Part of the reason is that the case intersects with several of the issues Americans distrust most: wealth, influence, celebrity, political power, institutional secrecy. When all of those factors collide in a single scandal, public skepticism becomes almost inevitable. The hearing also exposed a deeper tension that extends beyond Epstein. Increasingly, Americans judge institutions not only by whether they follow the law but by whether they appear committed to transparency. That distinction matters. In previous generations, many citizens were willing to defer to official conclusions. Today, that trust is significantly weaker. Americans demand records. They demand disclosures. They demand explanations. And when information remains hidden, many immediately assume there must be a reason. That dynamic creates enormous pressure on institutions like the Department of Justice. Every redaction becomes controversial. Every withheld document becomes suspicious. Every unanswered question becomes evidence of a possible cover-up in the minds of at least some members of the public. Whether those suspicions are justified is often secondary. The perception itself becomes the story. That is precisely what Dean was highlighting. Her argument was not merely that documents remain unavailable. Her argument was that the government's handling of the case has contributed to public distrust. And that distrust has consequences. Because trust is one of the most important assets any justice system possesses. Courts rely on it. Investigators rely on it. Prosecutors rely on it. Without public confidence, even legitimate outcomes can become politically contested. The hearing also reflected a broader reality about modern America. Institutional credibility is under pressure almost everywhere. Congress, the media, universities, federal agencies, the courts. Virtually every major institution faces growing skepticism from large portions of the public. The Epstein case became one of the most visible examples of that phenomenon because it touched nearly every source of public distrust at once. Perhaps the most revealing moment of the hearing came when Dean suggested that Americans are capable of recognizing when information appears incomplete. That observation speaks to a broader challenge facing government today. Transparency is no longer simply about releasing information. It is about convincing citizens that nothing important is being withheld. And that is a much harder standard to meet. Whether viewers agree with Dean or Blanche, the exchange revealed something important. The debate is no longer merely about what happened in the Epstein investigation. The debate is about whether Americans believe institutions are willing to pursue accountability wherever the facts lead, regardless of status, wealth, or influence. That question remains unresolved. And it may remain unresolved for years. Because once public trust is lost, releasing documents alone is rarely enough to restore it. But what do you think? When investigations involve powerful individuals and allegations of institutional failure, is legal compliance enough, or should government agencies be held to a much higher transparency standard? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And if you value long-form congressional analysis that goes beyond headlines and examines what these hearings actually reveal about power, oversight, and accountability, subscribe to Capitol Oversight and turn on notifications so you never miss the next breakdown.